So I'm thrilled to be here with Dominik Tomičević, the CEO and founder of Memgraph. Hi, Dominik.
Hi, Catherine. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So I wanted to start with a question about your overall vision for graph technology. What is your vision for graph, and has it evolved since you first founded Memgraph?
Yeah, I think our overall vision for the technology is kind of rooted in the transformation of the way the businesses and the organizations handle complex interconnected data. And we believe that graph technology can revolutionize how data is analyzed and interpreted, which means empowering businesses to make better informed decisions in general. And early in our journey, we did notice how there was a lack of this kind of approach that we've taken to graph databases, which can have significant benefits on one side, but had some trade-offs. So to address some of the limitations in speed and performance for specifically real-time use cases, which then become more pronounced with kind of large, complex, and interrelated data sets. And that's where our first in-memory first approach to graphs comes on its own. And by keeping data in memory, Memgraph can deliver superior speed and performance, which makes it ideal for dealing with complex queries and large data sets. And people always ask me, but do you write to disk as well? And we do. Yeah, we still do write data to disk, so there's no concerns about data loss. And this translates to, I think, many benefits. So it provides near instantaneous access to data, which is critical in today's kind of fast-paced business environment. And in-memory analytics also means that businesses can analyze and interpret their data in real time, allowing for faster decision-making and more agile business processes. And another maybe major benefit of in-memory graph analytics is the capacity for doing larger scale real-time analytics as well, which with the kind of traditional approaches requires maybe batch overnight, where the data is collected over a period of time. And we've built more dynamic graph capabilities where the results of graph analysis is actually recomputed incrementally as new data comes in. So you always have kind of the freshest data. So this has some trade-offs as well, but it works pretty well when you really need to get the results kind of at the moment. And yeah, so this does makes a profound impact on businesses. It means they can respond to changes and trends as they happen rather than reacting after the fact. Enables real-time fraud detection in financial transactions, insights into customer behavior in e-commerce, live intruder detection in cybersecurity, and so much more. So this kind of gives businesses a crucial edge in today's competitive landscape. But yeah, when we started Memgraph, this was the kind of the core vision, the core driving force. It largely continues to be shaped by these strengths, but I think the scope has evolved and expanded. Over the years, we've discovered new unexpected ways in which our technology can be applied and create value, from kind of cybersecurity to chemical manufacturing, process optimization, supply chain, all of the other things. So it's very kind of far-reaching, and we've just scratched the surface of what the technology can do.
Yeah, yep. So as you mentioned, there are a lot of possibilities for graph technology. And I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about some of the barriers to adoption of graph today.
Yeah, and on the other hand, so it can be used everywhere. There's a lot of use cases where they can bring value. The question is kind of what are the kind of top use cases that kind of customers, or top undiscovered use cases that customers can leverage. And as I see it, the biggest barriers can be maybe classified in like two categories. The first, I think, is the lack of widespread understanding about the potential of graph databases, because even as graph technology is making inroads in various sectors, there's still many businesses that stick only to traditional databases, kind of not fully understanding the potential benefits of adding a graph database to their products. But the second barrier is the perceived complexity of graph technology. And I say perceived because it's really not complex. For many businesses, I think, especially those without extensive in-house tech expertise, adopting a new technology is always daunting. And this perceived complexity can be a significant deterrent, I think, to exploring what graph databases can offer. And yeah, even though graph modeling is actually much more intuitive than kind of traditional approaches. Yeah. And I think kind of to tackle that, we believe kind of education is the key. There's a strong need to raise awareness about the advantages and kind of highlighting the industries and use cases where there's already significant impact. But it's always, it's not only those use cases, but teaching people a different way to look at their data so they can apply the graph expertise to their own specific situation.
Right, right. So here at Linkurious, we talk a lot about democratizing graph. So I don't know if you have thoughts about specifically how to better democratize the graph industry.
Yeah, I think democratization of any technology requires accessibility and comprehension. So when it comes to graph technology, the industry needs to work on both fronts. First, we need to ensure that the technology itself is easy to use, even for those without extensive technical expertise. And I know at Memgraph we've been focusing on the same thing, making strides in this area. I think partnering with Linkurious takes this kind of to the next level. It brings together our high performance capabilities with Linkurious advanced visualization, which is always much easier way to kind of looking at the data. But I think also creating a user-friendly product is just half the battle. The other half is about educating potential users about the benefits and applications of graph technology. It needs to. The problem is that it needs to extend beyond just the technical details, reaching into kind of a wide range of industries and sectors to showcase how graph can be leveraged in different contexts. But on the other hand, we as graph professionals don't have industry expertise in every possible industry. So it's difficult for us kind of to imagine how it could be applied. So I think we need to kind of work together with our customers, work together with all of the graph enthusiasts in particular verticals to share success stories, create detailed case studies, and really make available a range of educational resources such as like tutorials, webinars, workshops. I guess it's what we're doing today as well. Yeah, and fostering a strong community always helps because when the community gets involved, they take it to the next level. Essentially, users can share their experiences, challenges, solutions, and could go a long way in democratizing the technology.
So you've touched already in your previous answers on all of the different industries where graph can really be an asset. In what industries do you see graph growing the most right now?
Yeah, of course, a little bias from our side, from our view. But for the industries where we see graph technology growing the most, it's several very exciting sectors. One of the most prominent for us is cybersecurity. With increasing digital threats, companies need much more sophisticated methods to analyze and understand their security data. Of course, we know that graphs are particularly well suited to this because they can go kind of very wide and expand and find the threats and vulnerabilities. It's the ability to map out complex relationships and patterns in real time, which really helps kind of stopping fraudsters. In fact, actually, we published, I believe, 2 case studies on how we deliver value in cybersecurity with our customers, and definitely inviting viewers to check them out. It's a very novel kind of application of real-time graphs. And I think similarly, financial services sector is another area where we see significant potential, especially in the realm of fraud detection and risk management. It kind of goes both ways for real-time and maybe not so real-time use cases as well. And in the healthcare sector, of course, manage and analyze vast amounts of interconnected patient data, which we always love it. It leads to better diagnostics, more personalized treatments, improve patient outcomes. In logistics, graph technology can optimize routes, manage supply chains, improve operational efficiency. And of course, we know the first use case, social networks, graph databases already have proven their value, and they continue to play a vital role. And the one surprising for us was that in the field of chemical process optimization, especially, like, graph technology can help operational teams run their plants at peak kind of output and handle any type of discrepancies in their raw materials and maybe failures in equipment. But also on the other side, researchers can map out complex chemical reactions and actually optimize how they build future processes. And especially kind of visualizing the relationships between different chemicals, they can better understand the interactions and identify different opportunities for optimization. And I think these are kind of just a few industries where graph can have a major impact. And we're, of course, constantly exploring new use cases in industries. And we want to bring the benefits of graph technology to as many sectors as possible. And that's why kind of partnering with a wide variety of industry professionals and different niche companies that work in specific industries definitely makes sense.
Yeah. It's exciting to be part of technology that's relatively new and really ramping up. Another question I wanted to ask you is how you see graph technology evolving in the next few years.
I'd say that the graph industry is still relatively young. It's maturing, and the pace has increased over the past couple of years. So I'm expecting that over the next few years, we can definitely expect to see several key trends. I think first, kind of, we anticipate that more businesses will start integrating graph databases into their tech stack, because more people are realizing the advantages that technology can offer. And I think as part of this trend, we expect to see more case studies and success stories emerge that showcasing the real world benefits of graph technology. And of course, these success stories, as I mentioned, will be instrumental in encouraging more organizations to explore graph technology. And at the same time, we believe that the technology itself will continue to evolve. Graph databases will become more powerful, more scalable, easier to use, and providers like us at Memgraph continue to invest in R&D. As we do so, we'll see graph technology become increasingly capable of handling much kind of larger data set and more complex problems. And I might be slightly biased as well, because we are building a real-time graph database, but we're seeing that the industry is undergoing kind of major shifts towards more kind of this kind of approach in memory databases, graph analytics, and I think it's been driven by the increasing demand for real-time data processing and analysis. A lot of companies use some sort of a messaging queue like Kafka or Redpanda in their organizations, and it's very intuitive to connect that real-time data to a graph database as well, and deliver in the moment graph analytics as well. And I think it has the potential to revolutionize some of the aspects of the graph industry. It opens up new possibilities for real-time data analysis, decision-making. Of course, this gives businesses a significant competitive advantage. And I think one last thing, maybe we expect to see the development of a stronger ecosystem around graph technology. It will include a lot more tools and services designed to work with graph databases. I think especially in kind of niche industries, as we kind of go wider in the adoption, the need for developing kind of deeply integrated services that are integrated deeper in their industries is going to be important. So yeah, the future is very bright. We're excited to be a part of it.
Us too, and excited to be part of this together as brand new partners also.
Definitely.
So I wanted to pivot to talk a little bit more about Memgraph specifically. So the first question I have for you is, what is your take on GQL, and does Memgraph plan on implementing it?
So the development of graph query language standard, GQL, I think it's a significant milestone for the graph industry. It represents a major step towards widespread adoption, and this is essential kind of for further growth and maturation of the industry. Standardization makes it easier for users to switch between different graph databases, and there's different tools for different types of workloads. So it's very easy for people to experiment and try different ones and choose the best for their use case. And it always reduces risk and the learning curve for new users. I think at Memgraph, we're following the progress of the GQL initiative, and we're committed to implementing it once it kind of becomes the standard and more widely adopted. Right now, we see Cypher as the main query language of the graph, so we are supporting Cypher very heavily. But yeah, we believe that kind of adopting GQL will not only make our product more user-friendly, but also ensure compatibility with other tools and services as everyone kind of moves towards GQL. However, implementing GQL as a completely new language, I think it's not a trivial task for anyone. I think for a lot of the graph vendors, it will require careful planning and execution to ensure that the transition is smooth for our users. We would have to migrate the workloads. We would have to figure out any type of things that are different in the kind of designs and architectures from the perspective of the users, how they expect the queries to work. So we're all already working on this and kind of looking at that. Of course, we want to make the transition as seamless as possible once the standard becomes more widely adopted.
Sure. So the next question I have is about costs. So when folks adopt a new technology, obviously cost is a major factor. So I wanted to ask how you would describe the total cost of ownership of Memgraph.
Yeah, I think this is quite a big question for everyone kind of coming to in-memory graphs. So at first glance, it always looks like the total cost of ownership for Memgraph appears kind of higher, due to our in-memory architecture. However, if you kind of dive deeper, you'll find that it's not a clear story. So it's definitely depends on the workload. Because we made that design intentionally, we have very efficient data compression and storage strategies that actually result in much lower memory usage in memory when we kind of compare to some other players in the space. And this is especially during complex graph analytics if you're doing it multiple times real time. So having that data already in memory not only speeds it up, but we can store it in a much more friendly way for the execution, while also lowering the storage costs. While kind of traditional approaches, they do have a lower total cost of ownership when they store on disk, of course, because the data is not brought into memory. But as soon as they need to do any type of more complex and widespread analytics, they actually do have to bring their data structures from disk and in memory, and usually those don't match. So it's more efficient to store on disk in a certain way, and when you bring it into memory, it can take more data as opposed to kind of in-memory first approach. So depending on the velocity of your data and the scale, it might make sense to consider both approaches. I'm not kind of saying clear cut. Of course, I'm advocating for more in memory because that's where we're rooted in, but definitely your mileage may vary. But yeah, and even for some use cases, I think what our customers are seeing, it's sort of a paradox because we're an in-memory graph database, yet we use less memory than some other solutions that they tried. And I think for them, it becomes like that when the database is very actively used by multiple concurrent connections for graph analytics in real time, which is why they're doing it in the first place. Yeah, on our website, we do have a benchmark, and people always, benchmarks don't kind of show the real thing. We built something that's we think a typical workload for our customers, and of course, always tell people to test on their own data and see what performance benefits they see for their use case, and they can choose for themselves. And that's kind of the spirit in which we've built our own benchmark, so customers can easily extend our benchmark to test on their own data and our own systems and see kind of what performance improvements they get.
Great, thank you. So the last question I wanted to ask you about Memgraph is if you have plans to include a graph analytics framework in the product.
So we built Memgraph, I think, with the goal of supporting real-time graph analytics. We didn't do it kind of from day one, but since then we've launched something called Memgraph Mage, Memgraph Advanced Graph Extensions, which have more than 50 different graph algorithms and traversals. But we as well provide building blocks to enable others to build their own procedures and their own algorithms more easily with our core API, so they can easily build their own custom procedures. And we also have an integration with NetworkX. We love NetworkX from the Python perspective and from the data scientist perspective. So data scientists like to run NetworkX locally. And with our integration, they can actually drag and drop essentially, it takes a little bit more than that, but not too much, into Memgraph and productionize what they've been working on as a data scientist on their own computers. And I think kind of that's the spirit that we're going with right now, and we're just gonna keep expanding as we learn about more use cases. We'll keep expanding the different algorithms and analytics. And I think one of the exciting possibilities, I think that we've been looking at Memgraph is the potential integration of the graph analytics that we have, especially the more dynamic kind, which computes iteratively on every new data that comes in. And how can we kind of integrate that with perhaps Linkurious' visualization capabilities? I think this could be a powerful tool that enhances the user experience, offers more advanced analytics options. And I think with these type of integrated analytics, users could perform much more sophisticated real-time analysis directly within the database, getting all the performance improvements, but also by leveraging Linkurious' visualization capabilities, these insights could then be presented in a highly intuitive and interactive way. It could bring significant benefits to, I think, both our users, allowing them to extract more value from their data and make more informed decisions. Yeah. So, but yeah, it's always depends on the user's kind of case, and as we progress, we're always looking to our users for feedback and ideas. We're very open to it, and we run a very customer-facing feature planning and product essentially feature. What's the name? Prioritization And yeah, we're excited about the potential of what this can bring.
Great, super interesting. So one of the last questions I wanted to ask is, well, Linkurious, Memgraph and Nuix just announced a partnership recently. So I wanted to ask you how you see this partnership.
Yeah, when we first had kind of conversations, and when I learned kind of about the potential, I was instantly excited. I think our partnership with Linkurious and Nuix is indeed a game changer, because with this, we've created a fully integrated solution, out-of-the-box graph analytics. It significantly streamlines workflows from data ingestion to visualization. And I think this integrated approach drastically reduces operational costs and complexity for our customers. So essentially, we're bringing together Nuix's renowned speed in data processing and natural language processing, Memgraph's high-performance graph database foundation, and then Linkurious's highly scalable visualizations. And I think the powerful combination of the three technologies delivers unprecedented efficiency and ease of use. Perhaps most importantly, this partnership maximizes return on investment for our customers. By bringing together our integrated technology, we're reducing time to value from weeks and even months of development time to mere minutes or hours. I think the speed and efficiency we're able to achieve provide a strong value proposition for any organization that's looking to leverage graph technology. In short, essentially, the partnership between Memgraph, Nuix, and Linkurious presents a turnkey solution, how I like to pitch it, that gets you from unstructured data to valuable insights fast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot of exciting stuff coming down the road. We're really excited about it too here at Linkurious. We're just about out of time, but I wanted to ask if there's anything else you wanted to say that I might not have covered in my questions. The floor is open.
Yeah, I think thank you for having me here. This was very exciting. I'm very excited about the future of graph technology. I'm excited about the potential of the partnership between us and Nuix. And I'm looking forward to what we develop over the next couple of years.
Us too. So thank you so much again, Dominik, for taking the time to chat with me, and have a great day.
Thank you for having me. You too.